There are so many things that make the Netherlands special.
We are on a quest to experience as much of it as possible while visiting our daughter who lives here and taking Cassandra's father, who's from the Cayman Islands, on the European trip of a lifetime. This is our Netherlands story about our explorations and our family's connections with this beautiful land.
Welcome back, and thank you to everyone who has been following along on our Netherlands journey, and especially those of you who have clicked the like button and subscribed to our channel. And we've received so many comments on our videos, so thank you so much for that. We are already in episode 5 of our Netherlands story. And this time we are going to the beautiful heritage village of Zaanse Schans in Zaandam, Netherlands. Be sure to stick around at the end of the video, and we're going to share some exclusive, entertaining footage from my dad's cell phone that we affectionately refer to as the Papa Cam.
Yeah, you definitely won't want to miss that part. So we've wanted to go to Zaanse Schans for a long time now, not only because there are beautiful, colorful windmills there, but also because it's a great place to learn about the history of windmills and how they contributed to industry in the Netherlands. So around the year 1700, there were about 600 functional windmills in the Zaan region of the Netherlands, which is a very small area around the Zaan River, which is where Zaanse Schans is. And now there are only a small number of windmills that are still preserved and functional in that area. So we were not only excited to see the windmills, but also to have the opportunity to go inside of a windmill.
Yeah, that was cool.
And climb to the top of a windmill and see how it functions. And we'll talk to you from the top of that windmill in the video, so stick around, you'll want to see that.
The Zaandijk Zaanse Schans station is about a 15 to 20 minute train ride north of Amsterdam. We were traveling here from Utrecht, so the train ride was a little more than 1 hour. We arrived at the station and accidentally walked right past the small terminals where we needed to tap our OV transport cards. At smaller stations like this, it is easy to overlook where you tap out, but it can cost you extra money if you forget. At the larger stations, it is usually impossible to forget because you cannot leave the station without tapping. We came out of an underground walkway and were pleased to immediately see a map of the area showing where we needed to walk to get to the windmills. We also thought that it was a thoughtful touch that there was a water bottle filling station next to the map because it was about a 20-minute walk to Zaanse Schans.
We walked along a quiet tree-lined street where there were both residences and businesses. It was a beautiful walk in October with the fall colors just starting to show in the trees and golden leaves dotting the sidewalk and grass. The residential area gradually gave way to more businesses and small factories as we made our way toward the Zaan River. There are actually 2 cocoa factories in this area, and people say that, at times, the city smells like chocolate. We apparently weren't here at the right time though, because unfortunately we didn't smell it. Soon we had our first glimpse of a windmill, even before getting to the water. This one is called De Bleek Dood, which means the pale death, and was originally used as a flour mill, grinding wheat into flour. It is no longer in use, but served the community between 1633 and 1904. This is the oldest smock mill remaining in the Netherlands. A smock mill has long, sloping sides leading up to the cap, usually 6 to 8 sides in number, and only the cap rotates in the wind, with the body staying in place. Then we cross the Julianabrug, or Juliana Bridge, where there is a magnificent view of the Zaanse Schans village and windmills across the river. Well, here we are in Zaanse Schans in the Netherlands, crossing another one off the bucket list. We wanted to come here for quite a while. This is my 3rd time to the Netherlands and Cassandra's 4th time.
Yep.
This is our first time here at Zaanse Schans.
Upon entering the village, the first things you see are beautiful green wooden buildings. Some are houses and some are shops, with beautifully styled gables that are distinctly associated with the Zaan region. The Zaanse green color of paint was traditionally produced locally from a copper-based green pigment called verdigris. This paint protected well against moisture, rot, and insects that were problems in this river community. The gables or facades on the fronts of the buildings evolved over time from simple styles in the 1500s to more ornate designs in the 1700s. All of the wooden houses in this region were built in 1578 or later because the buildings before that time were burned down by the Spanish during the Dutch Revolt for Independence. Zaanse Schans has become a popular attraction where visitors can experience the industrial history of the Netherlands as it looked in the heyday of the Zaan region in the 18th and 19th centuries. Many of the buildings and windmills were transported and restored here in the 1960s and 1970s from other parts of the region to create an open-air museum where the historic structures can be preserved and maintained.
While walking through the historic village and toward the windmills, we stayed on the main roads and paths that led us past the shops and where we could see the homes from a distance. It's important to note that many of these homes are actual residences and about 100 people live in the village. Although many visitors want to see these historic buildings up close, it is important to respect the privacy of the residents here. Stay on the main routes, do not approach the homes directly, and do not look into windows or knock on doors. Like many places in Europe and other parts of the world, Zaanse Schans has seen a tourism boom in recent years. Now more than 2 million people are visiting the small village each year. This is challenging for the residents and makes it more difficult to maintain buildings and facilities. So the local council plans to start charging an entrance fee to visitors of around €17.50. The goal is to reduce visitor traffic and raise revenue to help maintain and restore windmills, facilities, and infrastructure.
There are now 10 full-sized windmills and 2 mini-mills at Zaanse Schans. Each of the full-sized mills is specialized for a specific type of function, including grinding spices, grinding minerals and pigments to produce paint, moving saw blades to function as sawmills, grinding plant products to produce vegetable oils, and grinding wheat into flour. The mini-mills could be placed on individual properties and accomplish smaller tasks such as pumping water or crushing stone. It was the sawmills in particular that helped the shipbuilding industry to flourish in the Zaan region and that accelerated the building of wooden homes. Even though there were a lot of visitors here in October, it was not exceedingly crowded, and it was still a relaxing experience walking past these majestic windmills at the water's edge. We really enjoyed walking around here, looking at the colorful windmills from different vantage points and watching some of them peacefully go about their work. It was fun to imagine walking around here at the height of the industrial activity on the Zaan River, with hundreds of windmills functioning on both sides of the river accomplishing their specific tasks. It was also an incredibly relaxing experience to just watch the windmills slowly turn in the wind, not needing any other fuel to accomplish their immense tasks.
Some of the windmills here are open to the public on certain days, so you can enter, climb to the top, and see how the mills work. After walking around for a while and enjoying the scenery, we decided to enter the windmill that was open and functioning on that day. We were first drawn in by a sign that said hot chocolate, and then we made our way to Decot Windmill, the only still functioning paint mill in the world. There was a fee of €7.50 to enter, but we thought it was well worth the price to have the opportunity to go inside of a working windmill. You can see that the stairs to climb to the top of the windmill are steep, but if you hang on to the handrails, it is manageable for most people. I was carrying a camera in one hand and didn't have any problems, and Cassandra's 81-year-old father climbed up without much difficulty, but he might be an exception for his age. If you have difficulty climbing stairs or have a fear of heights, then this activity is not for you. Even without climbing though, you can see the lower gears and grinding mechanism of the windmill, and there are several displays to help you learn how it functions.
We made our way to the top and walked out onto the deck, and this was what we can only describe as a jaw-dropping moment. The views of the water, the surrounding windmills, the buildings across the river, and the adjacent agricultural fields were absolutely spectacular. And to see this immense windmill up close while it was working made for an unforgettable moment. Being up here on top of an actual working windmill with some of the most gorgeous views that we have ever seen made this truly one of our favorite travel experiences so far.
Hey everybody, we just wanted to say hi from the top of a windmill.
Yep, crazy.
This is one of 2 working windmills in Zaanse Schans. And when was it built?
So it was built in 1646, and it's the only remaining paint mill left in the world. So
It grinds minerals and chalk.
minerals and
right?
chalk used to then produce paint. So this is definitely a big bucket list item.
Yeah.
And my dad is
Yeah,
here.
very
So
cool.
what do you think about it? We made it up here. We had to climb pretty steep steps to get here, but it's really cool. What do you think about it?
Well, this is one place that I would like to have brought my papa.
Oh,
He would have enjoyed this.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, he would have enjoyed the inner workings of it, seeing it grinding.
It's really interesting to see the gears inside and see
Would have been
it
able
actually
to explain
working.
everything about this.
Yeah.
How it works.
Yep,
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful
Very
place.
cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I hope you can get a chance to come here because it's pretty special.
Now
But all amazing views must come to an end, and we made our way back down the stairs. You can see my dad coming down, really enjoying the experience. We then walked around inside of the windmill on the ground floor, where we could see the giant grinding mechanism that is used to grind minerals and pigments to make paint. To give you a sense of how large this grinding mechanism is, here I am with my dad. I think that seeing the inner workings of the windmill was one of his favorite parts of the experience.
After a morning of close-up encounters with amazing windmills, we were getting a bit hungry and decided to walk back to the village for lunch and maybe a few snacks. Well, we decided on the snacks first, so we made our way to the cheese farm to Gouda, where there are daily cheese-making demonstrations and plenty of cheeses to sample and buy. We spent some time walking around and sampling just about every type of cheese available. The most famous types of cheeses produced in the Netherlands are Gouda and Edam, and there were many varieties of these and other Dutch cheeses available. After sampling cheeses, we walked across a bridge, along a beautiful canal, and found several places where we could get some lunch. The cheese put us in the mood for something sweet, and after seeing that sign earlier, I was still in the mood for hot chocolate, and that seemed to go nicely with a warm apple cinnamon pancake.
After lunch, we walked over to a wooden shoe workshop and museum, which was free to enter. Here there were informational displays about the history of wooden shoes called clogs or klompen. Wooden shoes were traditionally worn in the Netherlands from as early as the 13th century, designed to protect the feet of laborers such as farmers, fishermen, and factory workers. They are still worn by farmers and other workers in rural parts of the Netherlands, but you are not likely to see people wearing them now except to demonstrate traditional Dutch attire. We arrived just in time to see a wooden shoemaking demonstration. This involved 2 primary machines. The first machine cuts a block of wood into the shape of a shoe, and this was mostly an automated cutting process. The second machine was used to hollow out the inside of the shoe, and this was a bit more labor-intensive. As you can see, there were many wooden shoes here available for purchase of all colors and sizes. We decided to stick with our comfy walking shoes for now and didn't feel that our toes needed this much protection.
Before leaving the village, we walked over to the Zaanse Museum, which we understand has many educational and interactive exhibits. However, we didn't feel like we had enough time in this day to walk through the entire museum and decided that we will do this during a future visit to Zaanse Schans. Along our route walking back to the train station, just past de Blekke Dot Windmill, we came across a shop called Smells Like Chocolate. We just had to go in and take a look because, well, the name says it all. Even though the city didn't smell like chocolate when we were here, the chocolate shop did, so we were very happy.
Remember back in episode 2 when we told you about the Papa Cam? Well, my dad was happily recording videos in Zaanse Schans and often captured Scott and me when we weren't expecting it. Enjoy this footage from the Papa Cam.
There is the boat going up the river. What a beautiful place to visit. There is Scott setting up his camera. Ooh. This is inside the windmill. This is amazing. This is what is turning the blades outside. And we got up here, I don't know how we're going to get down, but
We didn't come all the way here to not see inside a windmill, so we gotta do the scary thing.
I'm going to get on Cassandra's back going now.
Yes.
In our next episode, we go to the city of Gouda, where the famous Dutch cheese, named after the city, was traditionally traded. On our way to town, we stop by a stroopwafel vending machine, then check out some beautiful views along the canals. Then we have an amazing time at the Cheese Experience attraction, where we learn a lot about the cheese-making process. We milk an electronic cow and learn about the dairy industry, learn about all the steps in making cheese, get dressed up in traditional Gouda attire, taste a fine selection of Gouda cheeses, and have a delicious lunch at the cafe. Finally, we walk to the city square and see the incredible town hall. You won't want to miss this one.